are going to be looking at the Inquisitor Scythe, as was seen in the Kenobi show. It comes with 4 minifigures: the Kenobi minifigure, the Grand Inquisitor minifigure, 5th Brother minifigure, and the 3rd Sister, or Reva minifigure. This is a really nice build. I like the sleek design. There were so many black pieces. Thankfully it came in different packages, or it would have gotten extremely mixed up because there's so many black pieces. However, it is a really pretty build. I think it looks really nice. It's sleek. It definitely looks like something the Inquisitors would fly around. This part right here, I had major problems with it during the build and after the build when I was trying to set it up. Actually, I built this at my grandparents' house because I got this over Christmas and we went there, and I really wanted to build it immediately, of course. And so I built it there, and then I had to transport it back home. And I really don't want to show you guys because it's a real pain to put back together. But there's this little part in here that clicks in, that clips in, and if it comes out, it's a nightmare to put back together. It came off on this side, and I had to take off all of the paneling, all of the tiling, just take it all apart to get really in there and fix it, and then I had to put it all back together again. So just remember that when you're putting it together. Be careful when you're doing this front part because it's a real pain if it comes off. Other than those things, I can't really think of anything else that was a problem with it. It's really nice, not just for a display piece, but also if you're going to be playing with it, because it opens up a lot. You can really get inside. If you want to just get to the part where, say, Reva would be standing if you wanted to be flying the ship, you can just lift that up quickly and put her in there nicely. Don't put Reva here, I forgot. Her hair gets in the way. You can't put the 5th brother there either because of his helmet. So really the only person that fits there in any way that makes it be able to close properly is actually the Grand Inquisitor, which I don't like that much because I don't think the Grand Inquisitor is going to be standing up fine the thing. So I guess that's another problem. But that's just really a technical thing. It's not something that I find with the problem with the build itself. But yeah, you can just open this, but you can also open this, and then you can also open this, and you can also open these 2 side ones, and you can also open this for like a ramp. My hands are too big to get her all the way through there in one go, but you can. It's a ramp to have them come in and out, and you can actually. It's actually pretty usable. Now, for the interior, I actually really like the interior of this. There's some tiles in there that make it good to store the blades of their lightsabers. I don't know if that's actually what it's for, but it's extremely useful because otherwise they'd just be rolling around all the time. There's not a place for Kenobi's lightsaber, which makes sense because this is not Kenobi's ship. The only reason he would be in here is if he was captured, and in that case, he would have confiscated his lightsaber and stuck it somewhere where he can't use the Force to get it. I really like... Let me remove these. I really like these panels along the side. These are also slightly a pain to get in here because they keep breaking off because it's just a 1 stud connection down here. But other than that, I really like them. They add like a very Star Wars-y feel with all this paneling and glowing buttons for them to be pushing, and also these panels at the back with the glowing runner lights to light up the interior of the cabin. I really like that. Also, this part here with another control panel for whoever is commanding the ship in case there needs to be a hologram call or something like that. So there is 2 seats in here and 1 place for the Inquisitor to stand. There's also a really nice big space at the back for you to put an extra character. Say if you want to add another seat in there and have Darth Vader riding with them, which I don't think you would do that because He's Darth Vader. He doesn't ride around with lowly Inquisitors, but you get the point. Say there's some Imperial official that for some reason needs to travel around with the Inquisitors, or a prisoner. There's actually a place for you to play along with that and have them inside the cabin instead of having to carry them there in your own hands. The back. Okay, we have to talk about the back. It is so simple. It is so simple. It's just black with these things here, which they don't, I'm not sure what purpose they serve, but they look cool. I really like them. Like either straight up and down, but I really like angling them. Like this. It's like a foil on a car or something. But it's just black with these blue afterburners, which this tiling here, it just adds something. I don't know. I think it looks really good. The cannons on the side here, I really like them. I think they look really big and powerful, and definitely something the Imperial Inquisitors would have, because again, it's like the Tarkin doctrine. If you can scare people enough, then you don't actually have to use said weapons. So this is like a big, hulking, terrifying beast with giant cannons on the wings. Flying into town, you're going to be less likely to attack it than some small frigate. Also, these things on the side, the stud shooters, they add a nice play feature. Some of the Lego builds, I sometimes take off the stud shooters because they just don't fit in well. I think they stick out too much. Arguably, these do kind of stick out because they're just on the side of the wing, and so when you store it like this, you can see it super easily. But honestly, that doesn't bother me too much, because then when you get it into flight, put it down and you don't really see them. So it's not that big of a problem to me. Once you get it in flight and you're actually playing with it, you don't see them, and they do add a nice feature, as all stud shooters do. There are a few problems with it. Like as I said, this part, you have to be really careful in play, because if you're going to be playing with it, or even not even playing with it, just carrying it around or trying to transport it somewhere to show people, never grab it here. I've had really bad experiences grabbing it here. This all falls apart. It's happened 3 times, and each time I have to spend like 2 hours or more taking it apart, then re-putting it back together, because it's not just a simple fix. Oh, one last thing. The runners on the bottom. I love this landing gear. I think the 4 ski skid things are really cool. Also, this spot right here, these things right here are solid. They make a really good place to grab. You just have to be careful of these inner panels, because you can grab too far up and then you can push them off, because remember, it's just a 1 stud connection. If you don't hold it too high up, it makes it a great place to grab if you're flying it around or carrying it around. All in all, this is a really great build. I can't think of any major problems with it that would just be like a don't get it. I think it's definitely worth getting this build. Again, I really enjoyed building it. It was a lot of fun. There were a few problems, but that's expected with Legos. 99% of the time, there's going to be something that you run into that you have to work through, and I actually kind of find that as part of the fun. If it was just something simple and you sat down and got it perfect the first time, yeah, it would be fun, but I think it makes it more interesting to have a problem that you run into and you need to kind of just look in the book and you have to kind of work through it and figure out how to snap it on properly or not add too much pressure, stuff like that. So yeah, all in all, it's a build I would highly recommend. I love the minifigures, and that's a great segue into what we're going to be talking about next. Let's talk about the minifigures. So first we're going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the master of Anakin Skywalker, a master of the third lightsaber form Surisu, and an incredible diplomat and politician, so much so that he was known during the Clone Wars as the Negotiator. But right now he's just another hermit on Tatooine. As you can see, as in the Kenobi show, they've done a great job representing it here. He switched out his Jedi robes for something that looks more just like another random civilian. He has the blue shirt and the brown pants. If you look closely at this front part, you'll notice that the shirt overlaps a little bit on the belt, which gives the flat minifigure face a more 3D look, which I really like. I really like the color of his hair, and I also like his facial print. It looks pretty accurate. Also, at the back, which is kind of hard to see because of his cape, the shirt also overlaps on the back a little bit, and it has wrinkles and It looks very much like how a regular shirt would look. There are a lot of details, and I really like that LEGO did that. Probably the only thing I can say that I don't like about this minifigure is actually not about the minifigure itself, it's about this cape. I don't like how the cape sticks up so much because it's kind of getting in his face. I would like if it lay down a little bit more. I think over time maybe it'll wear out a little bit and sag a little bit more, which I'm hoping that will happen, but it hasn't happened yet. And the end of his cape right here, there is also a lot of detail on this. It looks ragged and torn, like it's something that he got at a secondhand shop in Mos Eisley. Next, we're going to talk about the Grand Inquisitor. As I'm sure most of you already know, he was at first a Jedi Temple Guard, but Sidious turned him to the dark side before the end of the Clone Wars, which is why the Jedi Temple Guard were so ineffective during Operation Nightfall, because he betrayed them and killed a bunch of them before they could do anything. So, he is a Palin. I do not know why he is so white, because the other Palins we saw in Utapau when Kenobi was fighting General Grievous during the Outer Rim sieges were gray, not white. I think that's a little bit inaccurate from the shows as well. And his eyes are red. From what I remember from Rebels, like there's that really famous shot of like him opening his eyes, and I'm sure they are yellow. So I'm not sure why they're red here, but I think his face is the only thing that LEGO didn't get right. I really love his armor. You see the Grand Inquisitor sigil right here with the light on his armor that was there, and the darker tones, but with some gray on his suit. And just like in the show, he has this really, really nice cape. I honestly love this cape. It's different than most other capes we've gotten from other minifigures, and I really like the way it flows. And then you have the clip on the back for his lightsaber, which is accurate to what it was in the show. Again, the cape kind of blocks it, so it's not super important, but he does have some pretty nice back print that I think LEGO did a good job with. Next, we are going to talk about the fifth brother. I'm actually not sure what species he is. I don't think they ever said. It's probably in some source book somewhere, but I would need to look that up. I don't know that. He does look pretty accurate to what he was in the show. The thing about the fifth brother is he never really did much. Like, he was kind of useless in Rebels, and he kept disrupting things. And in Kenobi, he never really had much of a role, but he does look cool. And I think my favorite thing about him is his helmet. It's a very unique helmet in Star Wars. And I really like it. His body print is good. It doesn't have the light on it, which from what I remember in the show, it didn't have a light on it, but looks much more simple than the Grand Inquisitors, but you can see more of his body print, and he is only Inquisitor, actually only minifigure in this set, that doesn't have a cape. His back print does show, but it is somewhat blocked by, again, the lightsaber clip to the back and this over-the-top armor piece. But overall, he's a really great minifigure. I was really happy to get him. Okay, so last we have the third sister, Reva. We only ever see her in the Kenobi show. She wasn't in Rebels, and I don't think she was really mentioned anywhere else. We do know that she had a run-in with Darth Vader during Operation Nightfall in the temple with the rest of the younglings, so maybe it took her some extra time to recover from that. And her lower number means that she was one of the first Inquisitors. Being the third sister means she was one of the original ones. But maybe it took more time to break her using dark side techniques, or maybe she took more time to recover from that wound, because it was a pretty serious wound. But talking about the minifigure herself, I do like her body print. She doesn't have an armor piece. I don't think she had an armor piece in Kenobi, so that's pretty accurate. But I do like the details of her tunic on the front. Again, she does have this cape. It's not as stiff as, like, for example, the Darth Vader, the older capes that you would get with like Darth Vader. With those capes, you could really form them more and do more to make it look like it was blowing in the wind, like a really strong gust on Kamino, or just a gentler breeze on Naboo. But with these other capes, they don't do that as well. They still kind of do it, but they're much softer. They're not as stiff. However, I like that because those older capes break sometimes. I've had a couple of them break on me, and they're really hard to replace. Sometimes you have to buy the entire minifigure. The only bad thing I can say about her is this hairpiece. It looks pretty cool and it's very accurate to what was in the show, but it falls off so easily when you're using the minifigure. It just pops off extremely easily because it doesn't have much points of contact with the head, so it's not very secure. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next video.